I woke up in a hospital with no clue how I got there, but a nurse whispered that my fall didn't add up. Someone beat me. Bad. Then handed me an envelope from a 13-year-old who left a video before my wife showed up, and what I saw on it, the first thing I remember is the sound of my own breathing, ragged, uneven, like someone else's lungs were borrowing my body. I opened my eyes to fluorescent lights and a ceiling I didn't recognize. Tubes, monitors, that hospital antiseptic smell that clings to your throat. My ribs screamed when I tried to move. A nurse leaned over me. Early 50s, steady hands, eyes too kind for what she was about to say. "Mr. Calloway," she said, checking my IV. "You're in St. Luke's Hospital. You came in last night. Your wife said you fell down the basement stairs." Fell. That word didn't fit right. My name is Ethan Calloway, 38, small business owner, boringly predictable. I didn't fall. I don't even use that basement much. But before I could speak, the nurse's face changed, like she was deciding whether to break a rule. "I've been a trauma nurse 25 years, she whispered. "Those injuries aren't from a fall. They're from a beating, different angles, repeated blows." She hesitated. "Whoever did this meant to finish you." My stomach turned to ice. "My wife said I fell?" She nodded. "She brought you in herself. Around midnight." Then she glanced at the door, lowered her voice even more. "And about 30 minutes before that, a kid came in asking for you. Left this." She slipped a plain envelope into my hand. Inside, a USB drive. One piece of tape across it, written in messy handwriting, "Watch alone." I didn't understand until the nurse added, "That kid looked scared." He said, "Tell Mr. Calloway not to trust anyone." Then he left. The door opened, and there she was, Mara, my wife, pretty as ever, dark hair pulled into a careless bun, face full of rehearsed worry. "Oh my God, Ethan, you're awake." She rushed over, her hand cool against my skin. "I thought I lost you." She smelled like coffee and expensive perfume. You fell," she said softly. "You were fixing the water heater and—" "I don't remember," I said, watching her carefully. Her grip on my hand tightened just a little too long. "You hit your head. The doctor said it's normal not to remember." The nurse excused herself, and when Mara thought she was gone, her face flickered, only for a second. Something cold slipped through her expression. Then it was gone. "What did she tell you?" I forced a smile. "Just about my vitals." When Mara left to get coffee, I reached for my laptop. My whole body hurt, but fear made my hands steady. I plugged in the USB drive. One file. No label. I pressed play. The video was grainy, night vision green. My own house, shot from outside. I was on the couch, laptop open. Then the camera panned, and there she was, Mara, walking in. She wasn't alone. A man followed. Younger. Muscular. Tattoos. Her trainer. I'd met him once, Cole Drayton. They were laughing. Then they were kissing. Then they were heading toward our bedroom. The camera followed. The person filming whispered, "Okay. She's upstairs. Mr. Calloway's still on the couch." My throat tightened, that voice. It was Jamie, the teenage neighbor. I'd helped him fix his bike last week. The next seconds broke me. Cole came back downstairs, silent, holding something long and metal. A crowbar. He walked right up behind me on the couch. Jamie's voice on the recording, "Mr. Calloway, behind you." Then the blow. My body collapsed. Blood. Movement. Mara appeared in the frame. She didn't scream. She didn't help. She just looked at me. Then told Cole, "Do it right this time." He hit me again. I stopped the video. My chest was heaving, vision shaking. My wife. The woman I'd built my life around. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd staged my death. And somewhere inside all that terror, something cold started forming. Mara Calloway thought I was gone. But I was awake now. And before this was over, she was going to wish I hadn't been. If you looked at our lives from the outside, you'd think we were the poster couple for quiet success. Ethan and Mara Calloway, the small-town golden pair from Asheville, North Carolina. We ran a custom renovation business together. She handled clients and design. I managed contracts, budgets, the physical work. We even made the local paper once, Love and Lumber. The Callaways who build together, stay together. Yeah. I almost laughed thinking about that headline. We met 9 years ago. I was 30, working construction and bartending nights. She walked in one Friday, said she was just passing through. But she stayed 3 hours, talking about art, travel, and how small towns suffocated people. She was magnetic, confident in a way that made me feel like she saw right through me and didn't hate what she saw. I married her a year later, and for a while it worked. She made our little business feel alive. She had that charm that made everyone want to say yes, especially men with money. We grew fast, bought a house near Biltmore, built our own studio, traveled once a year. Then things shifted. Started small. Phone face down, sudden gym habits, new clothes charged to our joint card. I asked once, half joking, "Should I be worried about this new trainer of yours?" She just smirked. "You couldn't handle him." I thought it was flirting. God, I was stupid. I blamed stress. The business had slowed. A big client had backed out. We were arguing about finances. And then, one day, she suggested we take out a life insurance policy. "Just to be safe," she said. "You work dangerous jobs. I couldn't handle it if something happened to you." I laughed and signed the papers. $500,000 payable to her. That was 6 months ago. The cracks widened. She'd come home late, smelling like men's cologne that wasn't mine. When I asked, she'd roll her eyes, say, "You're being paranoid, Ethan. You've been watching too many crime shows." She was right about one thing. I did have a suspicious streak. Comes from growing up with a father who was a cop. He used to say, "When people change patterns, something's up." Mara had changed everything. I started keeping quiet tabs, tracking receipts, checking our accounts. She was pulling out small amounts of cash regularly, just under the level that'd raise flags. $500 here, $800 there. I didn't say a word. I just started saving every screenshot. Then there was Jamie, our neighbor's kid. 17, into skateboarding and photography. He'd done a school project filming neighborhood architecture and showed me his clips once. He had an eye for detail, angles. That's how I knew he must have been the one who filmed that night. What broke me most wasn't the beating. It was realizing he'd risked himself to save me, and she'd watched me bleed instead. The night before my fall, Mara had cooked dinner. My favorite, chicken piccata. She poured me wine, kissed my neck while I ate, told me she wanted to start fresh. I remember laughing. "You make it sound like we're dying." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Maybe we're just getting reborn." After that, nothing. Blackness until the hospital. Now, sitting there with bruises under my ribs and stitches in my scalp, I realized something sick. She'd been planning it for months. The insurance, the money withdrawals, the flirty trainer, the meal. It was all premeditated. I used to think I was a good judge of character. Turns out, the woman I trusted most had been rehearsing my death for half a year. I stared at that USB drive again, feeling the weight of it in my hand. It wasn't just evidence, it was my second chance. And I wasn't going to waste it, because if Mara wanted me buried, I'd make damn sure she watched everything she built crumble first. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the crowbar, heard the thud, felt the way my body went limp in that video. By morning, my head was pounding, but the anger was sharper now, cleaner. I wasn't just scared anymore. I was planning. I checked out of the hospital by noon. Mara insisted on driving me home. She had her concerned wife act on full blast, gentle hand on my knee, voice full of fake warmth. "You scared me, Ethan. I thought I lost you." I played along. Guess I'm too stubborn to die. When we pulled into our driveway, I caught her watching me in the rearview mirror. The look wasn't love. It was calculation. She was trying to figure out how much I remembered. The house felt different, smaller, colder. I looked at the basement door as we passed it. The scene of her story. My supposed fall. She'd cleaned everything. No blood, no mess, not a trace of violence. But bleach has a smell, and I could still feel it burning my nose. She made lunch. I told her I was going to shower. Instead, I locked myself in my office and opened my laptop. I needed answers, fast. That's when I saw the message. Unknown number. Mr. Calloway, I'm Jamie. We need to talk. Not at your house. Meet me at Murphy's Diner. 4 p.m. I typed back instantly. I'll be there. I hid the USB in a hollowed-out book, threw on a jacket, and made up a lie about needing to pick up prescriptions. She smiled and kissed me before I left, like she hadn't already watched me die once. Murphy's was half empty, the kind of diner that hadn't changed since the 80s. Cracked red booths, smell of burnt coffee. Jamie was already there, hoodie up, hands shaking around a soda. He looked terrified when he saw me. You're alive. Barely, I said, sliding into the booth. You saved my life, kid. Now tell me what you know. He glanced around, lowered his voice. I wasn't spying or anything. I was filming night shots for my school project. But I saw her, your wife, with that guy. It didn't look right. So I filmed more. He scrolled through his phone and showed me photos. Mara and Cole at a restaurant in Asheville, holding hands. Another of his car parked in our garage. Then one that made my stomach twist. Mara handing Cole an envelope in a parking lot. You could see her smiling. She was paying him, I said quietly. Jamie nodded. I think so. But there's more. After the ambulance came, I followed Cole. He didn't go home. He went to some apartment building near Lakeview. He met a woman there. Blonde, business clothes. I heard her say something like, after the claim clears, we split it 3 ways. 3, I repeated. He nodded. Your wife, the trainer, and her. I looked her up. Name's Tessa Price. Works for an insurance firm. My blood ran cold. Tessa Price, the rep who'd handled our life insurance paperwork. She'd been the one who pushed the policy through fast, told me she'd make it easy. I remember her smile. I remember her saying, don't worry. We'll take care of Mara if anything happens to you. Now I understood. They weren't just planning to kill me. They'd built a whole system to cash me out. Jamie leaned in. Mr. Calloway, you should go to the cops. Not yet, I said. They planned this too well. They'd find a way to twist it. He looked scared. Then what are you going to do? I looked out the diner window, at the rain streaking down the glass. I'm going to let them finish what they started, I said. But this time, I'll be ready. That night, I sat in my darkened office. Every light in the house off except the glow from my laptop. Mara was downstairs pretending to read. Every page turn sounded like a lie. I'd been digging for hours. Financial records, old emails, anything that could tell me how deep this went. Then I found it, buried in an old folder on my external drive. The original digital form for our life insurance policy. 3 names had signed the digital file. Mine, Mara's, and a third one I'd never noticed before. Tessa Price. Her name wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't a cosigner. She was a witness. I zoomed in on the timestamp. The document had been created 3 weeks before I met Mara. My skin went cold. That wasn't possible. Mara had told me she applied for the policy after we married. But the record showed it was submitted months earlier, under a different applicant name, E. Calloway, pending, and with Tessa Price listed as the assisting agent. 3 weeks before I met Mara. I scrolled through my email history, searching for anything from that time. And there it was, a message from a real estate agent named Marshall Renshaw, the one who sold me our first workshop space. He'd recommended a talented interior designer who might want to collaborate on small business makeovers. The name he'd given me? Mara Price. Her maiden name was Price. Tessa's last name was Price. And she hadn't changed it legally until a month after Mara and I started dating. I didn't need a DNA test to figure it out. They weren't just co-conspirators. They were sisters. Half-sisters, according to the background search I ran through an old journalist friend. Same father, different mothers. Both raised in different states but linked through property inheritance. They'd done this before. Minor insurance scams under different names. Accidental property fires. Fake theft reports. Always just below felony level. But this time they'd gone big. They wanted a payout that could set them for life. and they'd built me for it from the ground up. I sat there trying to breathe through the nausea. She hadn't just cheated or lied. She'd targeted me. Every romantic night, every compliment, every "we're meant to be." It had all been rehearsed. I was never her husband. I was her project. Then I saw movement in the doorway. Mara stood there, shadowed by the hall light. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked softly. Her eyes looked calm, too calm, like she already knew what I'd found. "Just catching up on paperwork," I said, minimizing the window. She stepped closer. "You've been acting different since the hospital. Distant. I don't like it." I forced a smile. "I'm just tired." She smiled back, faintly. "Well, don't overthink things, Ethan. Some truths are better left alone." Something about the way she said it, slow, deliberate, sent chills down my spine. When she walked away, I caught my reflection in the monitor. A man who just realized his entire life was built on someone else's blueprint. I stared at that empty hallway long after she disappeared. And that's when I made a promise to myself. If Mara had built me as a pawn in her con, I'd rebuild her world as a trap. I didn't leave the house for 3 days. I told Mara my head hurt, that the doctor said rest was best. She bought it or pretended to. Either way, it gave me time to move quietly. I had one goal: make them reveal themselves. Every lie, every fake smile, every poisoned plan. I'd record it all, make it impossible to deny. The night before, I transferred my contacts from my old journalism days to a burner phone. One number stood out: Darren Miles, a private investigator I'd once hired for a fraud documentary. He owed me a favor. I called him using a voice modulator app. "Darren, it's Calloway." He whistled low. "Heard about your accident. That's one hell of a story. You alive?" "Barely. But I need surveillance. Discreet, no leaks. Targets. My wife, Mara Calloway, her sister, Tessa Price, and possibly her boyfriend, Cole Drayton. I want every move, every call, every face they meet." Darren was quiet for a beat. "You planning to go to the cops?" "Eventually," I said, "after I ruin them." That night, I started planting devices. Micro mics inside vent covers, a hidden camera disguised as a smoke detector. My house was a movie set now, my life a script I was rewriting scene by scene. By morning, I had footage of Mara on the phone whispering, "No, he still doesn't remember. The fall worked. We just have to wait for Tessa's signal. The payout's coming soon." The payout. I almost smiled. They thought they'd already won. That afternoon, I drove to an empty parking lot and met Darren. He slid me a folder. Inside, photos of Mara and Cole meeting Tessa at a motel outside town. Not just once, but 3 times that week. One photo froze me. Cole shaking hands with another man I recognized. My accountant, Daniel. Daniel Reese. The guy who'd managed my business finances for years. The one I'd trusted with every number that kept my company alive. I flipped through the next page. Text transcripts. Tessa to Daniel. "Make sure the transfers go unnoticed. He can't see the missing funds. Once the claim hits, we'll settle everything." They weren't just taking my life. They were emptying my business, too. For people. For snakes. I didn't rage. I didn't throw things. I just went still. Because at that point, revenge wasn't emotional anymore. It was logistical. Over the next 48 hours, I built the foundation of their collapse. Step 1. I recorded fake phone calls. Conversations between me and a lawyer discussing a new will and an increased insurance policy. I let Mara overhear one. She bit instantly. The next day, she made a call to Tessa. "He's increasing it to 1 million. This is it. We can't wait much longer." Step 2. I faked medical weakness. Dropped plates, faked dizziness. Forgot things. She started hovering again, pretending to care while her eyes scanned me like a doctor waiting for a patient to flatline. Step 3. I leaked a rumor through Darren to a local insurance contact. Anonymous tip about a fraudulent life claim being set up. That info would quietly land with internal investigators in Tessa's firm without directly pointing to me. I was setting them all up to implode at the same time. But then, just when I thought I had control, something unexpected hit my phone. A text from an unknown number. No name attached. You're not the first, Ethan. And if you're not careful, you won't be the last. Attached was a photo, old, grainy, of Mara with another man. A man who looked exactly like me. Same build. Same haircut. Even the same damn jacket I was wearing the night of the attack. The timestamp on the photo? 7 years ago. The photo wouldn't stop burning in my mind. Mara, smiling that same fake smile, arm around a man who looked like my reflection if you blurred the edges. 7 years ago. 2 years before we met. I ran it through facial recognition software. My pulse jumped when the result came back. Name Eli Turner. Age 38. Occupation construction foreman. Status deceased. Workplace accident. The date of his death? 2 months before I met Mara. I sat there staring at the screen until my stomach flipped. Eli Turner wasn't just a look-alike. He was me before me. The police report on his death was vague. Fell from scaffolding, crushed instantly. His life insurance payout, $500,000. Guess who handled it? Tessa Price. I dug further. Eli's beneficiary was listed as his wife, Mara Turner. It hit like a gunshot. Mara had done this before. She'd married a man who looked just like me, staged his death, collected $500,000, then vanished under her maiden name. I wasn't the first. I was the sequel. And just like that, everything snapped into horrifying focus. The flirty banter when we met, the accidental run-in at the bar, her claiming we'd met in another life. She'd meant that literally. I remembered her once saying, "You have one of those faces, familiar, comforting." Now I knew why. She'd built me to fit her dead husband's mold. Same job, same mannerisms, same type. I wasn't her husband. I was her replacement victim. I needed to breathe, but my chest wouldn't move. Every piece of my life was just recycled material from her last con. Except now she was refining the script, making the perfect murder look even more accidental. A sharp knock at my door snapped me back. It was Darren, the PI. He'd driven over unannounced, face pale. "Ethan," he said, dropping a folder on my desk. "You need to see this." Inside were surveillance photos, Mara meeting Cole again. Only this time, Cole wasn't smiling. His posture was tense, angry. "She's been cutting him out," Darren said. "Payments stopped. Phone records show she's blocked his number. Tessa's the only one she's talking to now. So that was her plan. Kill me, blame Cole, and split the payout with her sister. But Cole didn't know yet. And an angry hitman who realizes he's being played? That's a wild card. As if on cue, my phone buzzed again. A new message. Unknown. "She's gonna screw us both. Meet me tonight. Midnight. The lumber yard." Cole. Darren's eyes widened when he saw it. "You're not actually going." "I am," I said. "Ethan, he almost killed you." "Exactly. And he's about to do it again if I don't get there first." By the time I reached the lumber yard, the place was dead quiet. Rain fell in thin sheets, glinting off the floodlights. Cole stepped out from behind a stack of pallets, soaked, jittery, and furious. "She played me, man," he said, voice shaking. "She said it was just for the insurance money. Now she's freezing me out. I risked everything for her." He pulled out his phone, thumb trembling. "I recorded her. You want proof? Here." He hit play. Mara's voice filled the air, calm and cutting. "Cole was always the weak link. Once Ethan's gone, we make it look like a lover's quarrel. He gets blamed, I collect, and Tessa takes care of the paperwork." Cole laughed bitterly. "You believe me now?" "I do," I said. "Question is, what do we do with it?" He looked at me, eyes wet, broken. "I loved her, man. I thought she'd leave you for me." "She never leaves anyone," I said. "She just upgrades." Before he could respond, headlights swept across the yard. A black SUV rolled in. Tessa stepped out, hair pulled back, trench coat glinting in the rain. And beside her, Mara. She spotted me instantly. For a split second, her face registered pure shock. Then something worse. Fear. Ethan, she breathed. You're supposed to be home. Yeah, I said. So were you. Cole raised his gun, a small silver pistol I hadn't seen before. This ends tonight, he snarled. Mara's smile flickered back, cruel and calm. Finally, something we agree on. I didn't know who she meant to shoot, but I knew one thing. By the time the night was over, only one of us was walking out alive. The rain was coming down hard enough to sting. The sound of it on the tin roof of the lumber shed felt like static under my skin. Mara stood between me and Cole, the picture of control again, cool, centered, calculating. Tessa hovered behind her, phone in hand like she was already rehearsing the 911 call she'd make when the dust settled. Put the gun down, I said to Cole. Don't give her what she wants. He laughed, a dry, broken sound. She already took everything, man. My money, my business, my goddamn soul. What's left? Mara's voice slid between us like silk over glass. Cole. Baby, listen to me. She took a step forward. You know he's lying. You know how much I love you. Cole's hand shook harder. Don't. Remember Mexico? The hotel balcony? You told me you'd do anything for me. Anything. This is it. Her tone shifted, almost gentle, the same tone she used to use when she wanted me to agree to something I shouldn't. You finish it tonight and we start new. No more hiding. Even as she spoke, I watched her eyes. Flat, cold, scanning, calculating. She wasn't trying to save Cole. She was trying to line up the perfect shot. The security camera Darren had hidden on my truck was pointed straight at her. Tessa finally spoke. Mara, enough. He knows. Mara turned her head just enough to look at her sister. Shut up, Tess. But Tessa didn't. Her voice cracked. You don't stop, do you? You don't stop until everyone around you's bled dry. You did it to Dad. You did it to Eli. You were going to do it to him too. She pointed at me, and then it clicked, Dad. Mara turned on her like an animal. Watch your mouth. But I stepped in. She's right, isn't she? This isn't just about money. Mara smiled, that slow, venomous smile I used to mistake for love. You want the truth? Fine. I'll give you the truth. She took a step closer, voice dropping low. Our father was a con man. Brilliant, cruel, and untouchable. He taught us how to lie before we could write. He said, people don't fall for love, they fall for stories. He died broke, drunk, and useless. And I promised myself I'd never end up like him. She looked at Tessa, pure disgust in her expression. Tessa wanted to keep scamming small credit cards, fake insurance claims. I wanted more. Real money. Real control. Her eyes flicked to me, softening in that twisted, deliberate way. You were perfect, Ethan. The kind of man people trusted. The kind who'd never believe a woman could hurt him. You built things with your hands. I destroy them with mine. We balance each other. It wasn't rage that hit me. It was something colder. You never loved anyone, I said. She tilted her head. Love's just leverage. It's the best weapon a woman has. Cole let out a hoarse laugh. You're insane. No, she said softly. I'm free. And there it was, the real reason. She didn't do it for money, not really. She did it because she could. Because manipulating, seducing, and destroying men who trusted her was how she proved she had power. It wasn't greed. It was pathology. You think you're some kind of goddess of vengeance, I said, voice shaking. She smiled wider. No, Ethan. I'm just my father's favorite daughter. Behind her, Tessa was trembling. She whispered. He made her watch him kill my mother. The words hung in the air, heavy and choking. Mara didn't deny it. She just smiled. And I learned how to finish the job better. Lightning cracked through the sky. For a split second, all four of us froze in that flash, each of us carrying the ghosts she'd made. Then Mara turned the gun on Cole. The flash of lightning had barely faded when the first gunshot cracked through the rain. Cole dropped fast, clutching his shoulder, the gun spinning out of his hand across the wet ground. He wasn't dead, but he was done. Mara stood over him, eyes wide with adrenaline, chest rising like she'd just done something divine instead of monstrous. She turned the barrel toward me. This was never supposed to get messy, she said. It always gets messy, I told her. That's your pattern. For a second, the only sound was rain pounding against metal and the faint wheeze of Cole's breathing. Then she smiled, calm again. You know, Ethan, I really did almost love you. You're not like the others. You fight back. Yeah, I said. And that's exactly why you're here. Right then, the lumber yard's floodlights exploded to life. Every one of them. Red and blue strobes cut through the rain. Police sirens screamed from both ends of the road. Mara's smile froze. Behind her, Darren's unmarked van rolled up. Officers poured out, guns raised. And that's when she saw the tiny glint of metal near my jacket collar, the camera lens. You, she choked. Smile for the cameras, sweetheart, I said. You're live on every precinct monitor in Buncombe County. She took a half step back, but Tessa grabbed her arm. Don't, Tessa whispered. It's over, Mara. It's finally over. Mara wrenched free. You betrayed me. Tessa's voice broke. You betrayed everyone. The officers closed in. One shouted, "Drop the weapon!" But Mara didn't move. Her eyes locked on me, full of that same terrible calm she'd had the night she watched me bleed. She lifted the gun like she was considering her last act, her last bit of control. I thought she'd turn it on herself. Instead, she pointed it right at me. I didn't flinch, because I knew what she didn't. The gun was empty. Darren had swapped the magazine when I was in the hospital. Insurance. Click. The hollow sound echoed louder than any bullet could have. She looked at it, confusion giving way to something I'd never seen in her before, fear. The cops swarmed. She went down hard, screaming my name like we were still husband and wife. Tessa sobbed as they cuffed her too. Cole was taken away in an ambulance, alive but ruined. When it was over, I stood there drenched, blood from Cole's shoulder mixing with the rain on the concrete. Darren came up beside me. You all right? I looked at the flashing lights, the wreckage, the end of it all. Not yet, I said. But getting there. The business was gone, sold off. I bought a small workshop on the outskirts of town and started over under my own name. Tessa took a plea deal, cooperation in exchange for 5 years. Cole got 15. Mara refused a deal. Her trial took 3 days. The jury needed only 2 hours. Guilty. Attempted murder, conspiracy, fraud, identity theft. 25 years. No parole. When they read the verdict, she didn't cry. She just stared at me, lips curling into that same ghost of a smile. You only win once, Ethan, she whispered as they led her away. And I'll always be in your story. Maybe she was right, but she wasn't in control anymore. Because 3 weeks later, my documentary premiered online, Blueprints for Murder. The story of Mara Price. I didn't make it for fame. I made it because truth needs a voice louder than lies. Every minute of her plan, every clip, every betrayal. It was all there, raw and unedited. Millions watched, and for once she couldn't rewrite the narrative. I still get nightmares sometimes. The sound of the crowbar, the flash of lightning. But I wake up breathing, and that's something. One morning, I got a letter postmarked from the state penitentiary. No name, just a single line on white paper. You built the perfect trap, Ethan. Maybe you were one of us all along. I burned it in my wood stove. Now, when people ask me what I build, I tell them the truth. I build endings. And Mara Calloway finally got hers.